Chetan sir. Chetan sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Tahira. Happy Engineers Day, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Engineering Day.
Thank you, sir. Wish you the same.
Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Ramraju.
Good morning. Good morning.
Srinivas Reddy, sir. Good morning.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar, sir. Good morning. Very good morning. Nice.
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಾವು ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ಮೇ ಬಿ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ 22 ಯಾವಾಗ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಡೇ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಇದೊಂಥರ ಸಂಕಟ. ನೀವು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ.
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಾನು ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಓಕೆ.
వీడియో కనిపించాలి కదా.
I'll keep it on.
This door should be closed. You close it.
But there is nothing to close also.
Video close now. What?
Shall we call him come?
Who? No, it's not started yet. Once it starts, we'll come.
Good morning, one and all. I, Dr. Neetu Aras, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, wish you all a very happy Engineers Day. today is Sir M. Vishweshwaraya's birthday. So as we all know, we are celebrating Sir M. Vishweshwaraya's birthday as Engineers Day. Sir Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya was born on 15th of September 1861, and on this day we are celebrating his 160th birthday. Sir M. V was a civil engineer, statesman, and 19th Diwan of Mysore. And I would like to introduce his few of his important works to all our budding engineers. So he is well known for the construction and design of Krishnaraja Sagar Dam. But apart from that, he has done many remarkable works. So he was instrumental in designing and patenting a system of automatic floodgates in 1903.
Engineers.
He designed a flood protection system for the city of Hyderabad by Musi River. He is the one who designed and planned the road construction between Tirumala and Tirupati. So many of us have visited but will not be knowing that. So it's one of his remarkable work. And Sir MV played a key role in developing a system to protect Visakhapatnam port from sea erosion. Sir was responsible for founding the Mysore Soap Factory, the Mysore Iron and Steel Works, which is situated at Bhadravati, Sri Jayachamarajendra's Polytechnic Institute, the Bangalore Agricultural University, State Bank of Mysore. And at that age itself, that is almost a century back, he had commissioned this Century Club too, so as to cater the educated class. And he also commissioned several new railway lines in Mysore state. Sir had designed and carried out the waterworks for the municipality of Sukkur in 1895. He is also credited with the development of block system, which would prevent the waste flow of water in the dams. His work was being so popular that the government of India sent him to Aden to study water supply and drainage system from 1906 to 1907. And he did so and designed a project based on its study, which was implemented in Aden. Sir MV was awarded a honorary membership of London Institution of Civil Engineers for an unbroken 50 years. He was an engineer who had planned the Indian economy in 1934. And in 1955, he was awarded Independent India's greatest honor, the Bharat Ratna, for his impeccable work in the fields of engineering and education. So we are so fortunate that we all are civil engineers, and Civil Engineers birthday is celebrated as Engineers Day. And Department of Civil Engineering, we have the culture of celebrating Engineers Day every year. Due to the pandemic, this year we are celebrating Engineers Day or online mode. So we will start today's function with the blessings of Almighty. So I request our coordinators to play the invocation song, which has been recorded and sent by our PG student, Ms. Sucheta. Thank you.
We are not getting other side sound.
ಕೇಳಿಸೇ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಇದು?
No, it is not allowed.
Not audible, sir.
ಶರಣು 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 ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ शरणु विद्याप्रदायका शरणु 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 सिद्धिविनायका शरणु विद्याप्रदायका निटिल नेत्रनिधि विसुतने नागभूषण प्रियने निटिल नेत्रनिधि विसुतने नागभूषण प्रियने तटिलतांकित कोमलांगने कर्णकुण्डलधारणे शरणु 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 सिद्धिविनायका शरणु विद्याप्रदायका शरणु 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 सिद्धिविनायका शरणु विद्याप्रदायका शरणु सिद्धिविनायका शरणु विद्याप्रदायका.
Thank you, Sucheta. Now we'll be playing a video about Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. Thank you. Now we'll be playing audio visual about Dayan Sagar College of Engineering and Department of Civil Engineering.
Live the dream, seize the time, seize the day, make your way. Live the dream, seize the time, seize the day, make your way. Live the dream, seize the time, seize the day, make your way. Live the dream, seize the time, seize the day, make your way. Be what you want, who you want, when you want to be. Do something, feel something that will always set you free. Now it's time to pull up the curtain, show them all that you're certain. Inspire, smile, make them see that life's a beautiful symphony, yeah. Seize the time, seize the day, make your way, make the dream. Seize the time, seize the day, make your way. Joining hands makes your journey easy. Sharing smiles makes your road so breezy. Looking out, don't you see your future? Finding out, breaking billion boundaries, yeah. Oh, yeah. Joining hands makes your journey easy. Sharing smiles makes your road so breezy. Looking out, don't you see your future? Finding out, breaking billion boundaries. Live the free, yes, I the time. Seize the day, yes, I way. Live the free, seize the time. Seize the day, make your way. Live the dream, seize the time. Seize the day, make your way. Yes, I.
AGM का
AGM का.
looks very awkward, no?
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬ್ಯಾನರ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್
Department video, please.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Namaskara. Civil engineering is known as the mother of all branches of engineering. It is a broad discipline that unifies the specializations like environmental engineering, water resource engineering, structural engineering, pre-stressed concrete, construction technology and management, highway engineering, geotechnical engineering, and architecture and town planning. The Department of Civil Engineering started in 1979 with an intake of 60. Now we have an intake of 180 with 2 PG programs, structural engineering and highway technology. We have accredited to NBA from 2005. We have well-equipped laboratories. As you are aware, civil engineering profession involves planning, analysis, design, construction and maintenance of different types of structures for government and private sectors. These include high-rise buildings, schools, colleges, airports, dams, harbors, tunnels, all these. At the same time, civil engineers also plays a dominant role in wastewater management, solid waste management, biomedical waste, electronics waste. Civil engineers keenly observe and identifies the problems faced by the society and also develops appropriate solutions based on technical feasibility, economics and sustainability. Civil engineers are creative and yet practical. We have well-developed consultancy cell working closely with Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Ministry of Water Resources Department. Visit our college department. Our research and development reflects what we are.
To facilitate the academics, consultancy, and research, the department houses state-of-the-art laboratories and computer facilities. All laboratories are equipped with modern testing equipments and latest design software to meet the curriculum and present industrial requirements. KIOCL Center of Excellence Lab provide researchers facilities to conduct research on solid waste generated by industries. Department is having Sukritya Students Club, which is actively functioning in the field of technical, cultural, societal, sports, and other extracurricular activities. Under this club, Swachh Bharat program is organized every year in and outside Bangalore, emphasizing on clean and sustainable environment. Department is having professional body memberships with renowned professional bodies of India. Technical fest, conference, workshop, and symposium will be organized every semester in association with major funding agencies of India. Field trips and hands-on learning make concepts more memorable. Our branch that is more related to fieldworks have ensured to give the students exposure by organizing field visits to various places such as water treatment plants, construction sites, irrigation and dam sites, etc. Also, extensive survey camp is a part of the curriculum for the students of 6th semester. Every year, the camp is conducted for a duration of 10 days at Melukote in Pandavapura Taluk of Mandya district, Karnataka. Around 4,000 engineers have graduated from the department since 1979. The alumni of the department are a part of national and international projects, and many are leading entrepreneurs. To name a few, our alumni are rendering their service in Indian defense, Indian administration, politics, arts, sports, research, and academics.
Thank you. Now we'll officially inaugurate the Engineers Day workshop by lighting of lamp virtually. Thank you. Now I request our beloved HOD, Dr. H.K. Ramaraju, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning to all. Today,
Morning.
Sir Mishesh Nair engineer's birthday. That is, program is celebrated as the Engineers Day. Friends, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. In the name of industrialization, urbanization, population growth, man is going against the nature. Of course, nature has taught us with certain lessons like volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, earthquakes, floods, droughts, on and on. We know. ಬಹುಶಃ ಇದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನನಗೊಂದು ಮಾತನಾಡೋದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 50ರ ದಶಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿ ವಿ ಗುಂಡಪ್ಪನವರು, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಡಿ ವಿ ಜಿ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮನ ಕಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಮಾತನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ನವರತ ಮನುಜ ತಿದ್ದುತ್ತಿರುವಂತೆ ವಿಕೃತಗೊಳಿಸುವ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಕೆ ಹೆಂಗಗಳ ಭೂ ಕೃಷಿಕ ಶಿಲ್ಪಿ ವಾಹನ ಯಂತ್ರಿ ವ್ಯಾಕೃತಿಸಲೇನು ಮಾಡ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ಹೌದು, ಹೊಸತನವೇ ಬಾಳು, ಹಳಸಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸಾವು ಬಿಡು. ಹೊಸತನವು ನವನವತೆಯಿಂದ ಅನುದಿನವು ಹೊಮ್ಮಿ ಹಸನೊಂದು ನುಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಸರುತ್ತಿರೆ ಬಾಳ್ ಚೆಲುವು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. Man is a complex human being. He makes deserts bloom and lakes die. Friends, today we are celebrating the 161st birth anniversary day of our Bharat Ratna Dr. Sir Visheshwarya. We requested our Kudarimukh Iron Ore Company Limited Chairman, Shri T. Swaminathan sir, is the Chairman and Managing Director of KOCL. He played a key role in the iron ore sector. With pleasure, I invite Dr. Swaminathan sir to this inaugural function. Sir, I welcome you, sir, for this today's
Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Namaskar.
We have a long bonding, specifically with Kudarimukh Iron Ore Company Limited, KOCL, at Ministry of Steel. They have established a Center of Excellence Laboratory in our Dayanand Sagar facility with almost nearly 22 lakhs rupees by investing. They have established a very good laboratory, which is using by our college and other researchers. They are using effectively. I thank you, Lord, sir, for accepting our invitation, and once again I welcome you for this inaugural function. Shri B. Srinivasa Reddy, the former Managing Director of Karnataka Urban Water Board, and the former President of Indian Water Works Association and present Chairman of Indian Water Works Association. He's behind us. He supports all our activities. Sir, I welcome you for today's webinar, sir. Welcome you, sir. Once again.
Thanks. Namaste.
Today's program is engaged by our keynote speakers, Dr. Rangnath, who is the Chairman and Managing Director of EI Technologies. He is a proud alumni of Dayanand Sagar College Engineering in the first batch of 1979 to 84. That batch belongs to that batch. we proudly welcome him for today's webinar to deliver one of the keynote talk. At the same time, other keynote speaker is Dr. Nagesh Puttaswamy. He is the zonal head, Ultra Tech Cement Limited. He is a very good speaker. I welcome you, sir, for this today's webinar. And Dr. Anant Ramaya, a well-known anesthetist, and he is the managing director of Isha Multi-Specialty Hospital. A good friend of mine. To be frank, actually, we are all housemates. Classmates also. Staying at Raja Rajeshwari Kalan Mandapa Trust Hostel, we stayed together during the PUC and all. Later, he joined for the medical and continued our engineering and all. He is a very good, well-known man, specifically in the field of medical field. Sir, Dr. Anant Ramaya, sir, I welcome you for today's webinar, sir. And the other keynote speaker is Dr. Renuka Devi. She is a well-known gynecologist running a general maternity hospital in Hebbala. I welcome Dr. Renuka Devi also for today's webinar, and she is going to deliver a talk on how exactly the dilemma what the people have faced in the gynecological region and all, specifically during the pandemic period and all. She is going to deliver a talk. Madam, I welcome you for today's webinar. And our principal, who is the backbone of our all activities, Dr. C.T.S. Prakash. Sir, I welcome you for today's webinar, sir, please. At the same time, I would like to welcome the media, IWA members, Indian Water Workers Association, because this program is jointly organized with Diana Sara College of Engineering, Department of Engineering is jointly coordinating with the Indian Water Workers Association for this webinar. I am thankful to IWA for permitting us to conduct this program. And I welcome all IWA and IPH members, our beloved students, because we have already crossed nearly 288. I can easily sense almost all of our students are participating, and other members in the society, they are also participating in the program. Publics also they are participating. I welcome one and all. More than that, my faculty, our team, who are supporting for all these activities. I welcome all the faculty and the faculty and the instructors and other non-teaching staff. All they are present here for today's program. I welcome one and all for today's program. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Mr. T. Saminathan to present the inaugural address. Now I would like to give a brief introduction about T. Saminathan, sir. Sir holds degree in mechanical engineering and postgraduate diploma in business management and has more than 3 decades of experience in KOCL Limited in the iron ore mining, beneficiation, pelletization, and pig iron making since joining the year 1986 as graduate engineer. During initial period, he served in Kudremukh mine beneficiation plant and later moved to corporate office, technical services department, Bangalore in 1992, and executed projects like Crusher 3 installation, relocation of Crusher 1, and installation of additional ball mills. He also served in CMD Secretariat as technical officer and CMD for a shorter period and moved on to materials department in the year 2009. Prior to assuming the charge of chairman cum managing director, he was holding the post of director, and prior to that, he served as a general manager, heading both the materials and commercial divisions. He was instrumental in bringing tolling concept, which had resulted in increased capacity utilization of pellet plant, improved physical and financial performance of company. He also put in place system improvement in supply chain and logistics, which had resulted in reduced transit and brought down inventory holding level. He had also framed and implemented risk management across the organization, introduced e-procurement through service provider MSTC, and started GEM procurement. He is a lifetime member in Indian Institute of Materials Management and Indian Institute of Mining Engineers. He's presently working as the KOCL Limited, formerly Kudremukh Iron Ore Company Limited, is a government-owned enterprise, with its head office at Bangalore under the ownership of Ministry of Steel. So now I invite T. Swaminathan sir to give the inaugural speech.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, sir?
Very much, sir. Very much.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be participating in today's webinar titled as Role of Doctors and Engineers in Combating COVID-19. Good morning to each and everyone who is, organizers and the participants of this today webinar. And at the outset, I also sincerely thanks and to the Department of Civil Engineering and the IWAA for this today's webinar on occasion of Engineers Day celebration to commemorate 161st birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Sri M. Vishwesvaraya. In today's topic is very much important in the present scenario. First, let us all salute to the COVID warriors, the doctors, engineers, each and everyone who has put their lot of effort and services to safeguard the Indian nation and our people, so that today we are all assembled here and we are conducting in a safe manner today's webinar. The role of doctors is very important, but at the same time, the role of engineers also required to take care of the environmental impact of COVID-19. During COVID pandemic, as a part of its corporate social responsibility, company also did a lot of CSR activities. We have given 8 crores to PM Fund. We also donated some oxygen plant to the Adi Giri Institute of Medical Sciences. And we have donated 2 oxygen plants to the Dakshin Kannada district by the request of our collectors. We also donated medical beds for the hospitals, mosque, and the groceries for the needy people during the COVID period. And ultimately, we are very thankful to the district authorities of Government of Karnataka for helping us in vaccinating all our employees. Today, we are vaccinated almost 98% of our employees in our company. KFCL always supports the research activities undertaken in institution level. This is increasing the institution interaction between KFCL and also the Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering. Industry institute interaction, that is the most preferred activity for the mutual benefit and growth of industry as well as institutions, provides the best platform for showcasing the best practices, latest technological advancements and their implementation and impact on the industry. Though these industries can participate in technical education programs and cross-fertilize ideas for systems improvement. KFCL has established a Center of Excellence Research Laboratory in the Department of Civil Engineering, Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering, and sponsored state-of-the-art equipments for carrying out the R&D activities. Students and research scholars are encouraged to undertake projects related to KFCL, and this promotes development activities in both industries as well as institutions, which further leads the nation to grow technology and socio-economically viable. Dear friends, as a potential engineer, let us design systems that influence humankind positively, creating benefits with limited resources and blow the triumph of engineering by converting dreams into reality. Once again, I wish you all a happy Engineers Day. And I am sure this webinar is going to enlighten us the COVID-related activities and the precautions which we are going to take, and the contribution of our the role and contribution of our doctors, engineers in combating the COVID-19 in the today's scenario. Once again, my warm regards and best wishes to each and every one of you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much for inviting me for this function. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I request Shri B. Srinivas Reddy, sir, who is the chairman of Indian Waterworks Association, Mysore, to address at the gathering. Sir, whenever I used to introduce you on the stage, you were strictly against it. You were always telling me that you are a part of DSE Civil and you should not be introduced again and again. So with this, I just request you to address the gathering, sir. Thank
Ma'am,
you.
1 minute before that.
Yes,
Because
sir.
Swaminathan sir now has got a meeting. I think general body
Okay,
meeting is
okay.
there.
Fine, sir.
I think he's going to leave. Sir, thank you a lot for gracing the occasion, sir. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, sir.
And Ayuva, we thank you a lot for participating in the program. Thank you a lot, sir.
Thanks on behalf of the Ayuva also to Sri Ranganathan. Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Yes. Ready, sir, please.
Yeah. Om Namah Shivaya. Elrigu namaskara. Respected Principal Dr. Prakash and the faculty members of this distinguished institution. Respected keynote speaker and CMD of KIOCL, Sri Swaminathan, who has just took leave of from us. The distinguished speakers in this today's webinar. Our Secretary of Ayuva Bangalore Center and editor of Ayuva, Dr. Ravindra, and all other participants in this webinar. On behalf of Indian Water Works Association, I wish all the present here and also outside this webinar a very happy New Year's Day. As usual, Professor Ramraju sent me an address yesterday. And as usual, I have kept it aside because I always prefer to talk without any prepared speech or reading anything. I'm not used for that. I also just wrote something in the morning, but I thought, okay, let me stick to my own way of speaking and thanking the people. But coming to the subject, the role of engineers and doctors, see, I would say that both the roles are, these roles are complementary to each other. We, the engineers, create the infrastructure which we have created during this pandemic, and the doctors have utilized this infrastructure and saved thousands and lakhs of people from this pandemic, risking their lives, putting long hours of working day and night. We should also remember the services rendered by this paramedical staff and other workers who have done a noble job, risking their lives. This is a situation which probably all of us are seeing once in our lifetime, and not probably we don't wish to see it again, at least our next generation. Anyway, it's all destiny. It's all happened, and somehow probably we are succeeding and coming to the end of it. So the learned speakers are very much there, too from medical profession, too from engineering profession, and it will be very interesting to listen to them, and it will be useful also. And on my part, from the Ayuva side, I am really thankful to the Principal Dr. Prakash and his faculty members, and also the management of this prestigious institution, the Dayanadas Sagar institutions, which has created a distinguished place for itself, not only in the state but also in the country. So without taking much time, thanking all of you to have a good day, and also let us pray God to get us out of this pandemic as soon as possible, and to meet in person physically at least next year on March 22nd on the World Water Day. Always it is nice to have a physical meeting, and I always remember our seminars in Dayanadas Sagar College of Engineering, a beautiful auditorium where the students are clapping, whistling, and more clapping and whistling are always reserved for Professor Ramraju. So that is it's a good thing. He's quite a popular person, and let me thank one and everyone, and particularly Mr. Ramraju, who is a very enthusiastic person, and also our Director International in Ayuva. Thanks a lot. May God bless you all. Om Namo Sri Ramanaya. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We all join our hands to thank all the medical and the frontline workers, and also the vaccination providers, inventors, who all help us to sail through this smoothly. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, as rightly mentioned by our beloved HOD, Dr. H.K. Ramaraju, our principal CPS Prakash is very supportive to all the activities conducted at the Ananda Sagar College of Engineering and Department of Civil Engineering. Now, I request Dr. CPS Prakash, Principal DSE, to propose the presidential address.
Dr. CPS, sir, please. Dr. CPS Prakash, please.
Sir, I think it is in mute. We can call him and inform, sir.
Yes. One. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I'm happy to be part of today's national webinar on the role of doctors and engineers in combating the COVID-19. It is more appropriate to celebrate this national webinar today being Engineers Day by remembering one of the greatest engineers India has ever seen, Sir M. Visvesvaraya. Let us all resolve ourselves to rededicate for the cause of humanity. Respected resource persons, officials from KIOCL, Sri B. Srinivas Reddy, office bearers of Indian Water Works Association, Dr. Ramaraju, Professor and Head of Civil Engineering, all my esteemed colleagues and participants. The topic is so appropriate. During the COVID period, we have all realized that gone are those days where we used to live in compartmentalization. Doctors never used to talk to engineers amongst engineering fraternity also. Civil engineers never used to talk to mechanical never used to talk to others. Now, living in silos, those days are gone. We have seen during the pandemic, doctors and the health workers, they were the frontline warriors, but they were supported and complemented by, in a greater manner, the engineering fraternity. Be it be design of oxygen concentrators, be it be providing oxygen cylinders, production or acceleration of production of oxygen in industry to meet the sudden rise in demand, construction of facilities to create medical support for the COVID patients. All of us, we have seen in newspapers, there was an instance in China where within 6 days, they constructed a 4-storied building which housed an hospital. How was that possible? Because they used all prefabricated structures. They could bring it, assemble and create a facility within no time. So this proves that the role of engineers is equally important as doctors, especially during the COVID-19 period. We have all realized this. I'm sure this topic is quite appropriate, and this national webinar, as I go through the list of resource persons drafted for the webinar, excellent speakers are there. The participants are going to be benefited by listening to the talks from various resource persons. And it will, I'm of the strong opinion that this webinar would provide a platform for mutual interaction amongst the participants, and each participant will have rich value add as being the active participants in the webinar. Once again, thanking all the coordinators who are responsible to bringing in this kind of a webinar. I wish the webinar a grand success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you a lot, sir. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to the technical session. Today's first speaker is Mr. N. Ranganath. So I'm very happy to introduce Mr. N. Ranganath because he's alumnus, is a very proud alumnus of Department of Civil Engineering, Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering. So he has also master's degree in geotechnical engineering, and right now he's pursuing his PhD too. He has vast managerial, administrative, technical, and financial experience for more than 3 decades in the field of civil engineering infrastructure projects. He has worked extensively in the field of oil and gas, irrigation and water management, roads, highway and bridges, tunnels, etc. He has also actively pursued projects of national interest with great appreciation from various quarters. He has excellent project management skill and has delivered quality projects in infrastructure industries globally. He is presently chairman and managing director of EI Technologies Private Limited, initiating and setting up an integrated office infrastructure with a skilled and blended experience of manpower and project management resources. The unique capability of the organization in providing engineering solutions to critical projects in the field of renewable energy, oil and gas, water resources, and highway sectors. Mr. N. Ranganath, along with his team of qualified, eminent, and experienced professionals, is committed to fulfilling the vision of the organization, besides creating employment opportunity to the engineering professionals from the rural background. Emphasis is laid on empowering the women employees by way of providing them with good opportunity. More than 50% of the employee in EI Technologies are qualified women professionals. I'm really very proud, sir, very proud. Mr. N. Ranganath is also managing 2 schools to provide education to underprivileged students in remote village. Added to this, I would also thank sir for being a part of the backbone to civil engineering department as alumni. So his continuous advice and feedback about the department is helping us to grow. Thank you very much, sir, and I welcome you for today's webinar, sir.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Neetu, for the wonderful introduction. You have been doing a great job.
Thank you,
without wasting my time, I think I should be starting this one. Let me put my first slide before even I get into it. How do I share it? I can present this one. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
1 second. Give me a second. Is this my screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Just a minute. Now this is better.
Yeah.
This is better. 1 second. So I will push this towards the end. Okay. All right. So all of you can hear me, my voice?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So first of all, thank you so much for the Dayananda Sagar College institution, the principal, the management, the faculty, the head of the civil engineering department, Professor Ram Raju, the rest of his colleagues, and today's eminent speakers, and everyone over here. Actually, right now, I have reached Goa for a meeting and a presentation. I have taken 1 hour off from this presentation. Wanted to just deliver my lecture on this great day, because I cannot say no to Dayananda Sagar College, because today, whatever I am, it's because of Dayananda Sagar College. All this happened because I'm the student of Dayananda Sagar College. So that's the introduction I have got. And I take this opportunity to hearty congratulations and good wishes on the occasion of the 164th birth anniversary of Sri Saram Vishwesharaya, the legendary civil engineer, able administrator, patriot, dedicated and committed for uplifting of the society. What a great day today to interact with the entire civil engineering faculty and also the other eminent people. My topic today is challenges faced by civil engineers during the COVID-19. That's the topic that has been given across. I hope I'll try to do justice for this particular topic. My quick observation on those things is thanks to Mr. Great eminent Srinivas Reddy sir. He appropriately put the role of civil engineers or the engineers and the medical or the two faces of the same coin. The one complement the other. It has turned out to be a great success in today's world. The great work that has been done by the medical professionals, the doctors and the supporting team, along with the engineers, really has helped the entire mankind across the globe. So well said, sir. It's a great thing to be a part of this one. Civil engineers and engineering and construction companies are used a cyclical downturn across the globe, and India is no exception to it. The speed and strength with which COVID-19 has struck is unprecedented. COVID pandemic has hit the market like a tsunami and has posed several challenges. The breadwinner of the family has either lost his job or life hitting the family and organization very hard. And in certain cases, the future looks quite challenging. So that's the introductory remarks I have got with respect to COVID pandemic. Let's look at what are all the challenges. Projects are being delayed or cancelled. Financial instability, supply chains under threat, cost of construction materials are skyrocketing. It's almost, there are some of the material cost is going almost like about 100%. The cost is increasing like anything. Employee and labor health is a great concern. Practical challenges around the social distancing in construction site is another major challenge and a threat. Companies that had furlough workers might find the future availability and skills of those workers uncertain because of the movement of the people, including the laborers, going back to the native places. That is called the migration of the people that is taking place across over there. Many construction companies operate without substantial capital reserves, means that is hitting very badly in terms of the finance, procurement, meeting the deadlines. The impact of the lockdown could force some to restructure debt, seek new source of capital, or risk their existing business. But on a nutshell, if somebody is going to look at it, one can conclude from the above facts that most of the people, including the civil engineers and engineering and construction companies, are put to hardship. It's a reality. Let's understand. But as civil engineers, as medical core competent people, and basically as human beings, we have competence even to overcome this. Let's see what it is going to happen. It could get worse before it gets better. In fact, PricewaterhouseCoopers' latest report says COVID-19 CFO Pulse survey found that 81% of the CFOs are considering the cost reduction in response to the crisis, and 60% say they are planning to defer or cancel the investments, particularly areas such as facilities and capex, operations and workforce. This implies considerable engineers will lose the job. At the same time, there will be a competition for the limited available jobs, and companies may start bringing down the salary structure. This could be most challenging scenario that is likely to arise. And as a practicing engineer with a company of about 200 engineers working, I'm facing these kinds of challenges already over there. Let's see how it is going to move on from here. If I look into these four photographs, this has been brought out. One is a real estate, another is a harbor wherein the port and things is going to be there. One more is an infrastructure area. The third one is also connected with a metro connection. You see everywhere the movement of the migration of the laborers, the non-availability of the financial required resources and the materials has hit very badly. Maintaining this COVID pandemic, it's not something, the challenges which anyone in the world had foreseen. This is totally unprecedented. Nobody had geared up to face this kind of a challenge. In the case of a natural catastrophe or a disaster, you see it's a short term that is going to happen, whether it is an earthquake, whether it is a tsunami or anything you have come across, it's a short duration, you face the disaster and moves away across. But in the present scenario, it's an unknown war, which nobody knows how long we have to fight for it. Means we need to equip ourselves with all kinds of arms and ammunition to face the reality on the ground. The first one, if you look into across over there, basically, is the financial instability. For most of the civil engineers and E&C companies, financial stability is the top priority. Achieving or maintaining stability amid so much uncertainty clearly requires reviving capital and corporate cost budgets, as well as options for raising additional funds, including government stabilization and stimulus package. In fact, the above two pictures appropriately looks into across, if you closely view, the kind of the balancing that needs to be done by engineers, human being, practicing people, medical, engineering, construction companies is quite a difficult task. Quite a difficult task, the way it is happening across over there. Keeping workforce safe, engaged and skilled is another challenge. Engineering and construction company may face limits on how many employees can work from home. This was totally unprecedented. Nowhere in the history of the 1 decade, 2 decade, or even 1 century, this kind of a scenario where from work from home, this kind of a long gestation period has not been foreseen across over there. Many workers must be in the job site. Beyond providing them with appropriate protection, additional steps to help them stay safe, such as staggering shift, mandating safe distance between, will be a major challenge. This is a much more difficult scenario when it comes to the construction field across over there, because you require a large workforce. You need to maintain them with a safe distance. You need to ensure they are screened properly so that there is no kind of diseases or spread is likely to happen across. So an unprecedented scenario that has been seen. In other words, civil engineers who are tech savvy, multi-talented with excellent communication skill, and also health conscious are found to be in great demand. This is a point to ponder. I won't get into too much. Yes, this is what it is. In other words, struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. This particular statement holds good. It's an evergreen statement. And this applies very well in the current scenario. Let's look at the next point. That's what we call it as a supply chain. No construction company, no household, no medical corps can able to sustain if the supply chain is hit very badly. Maintaining a supply chain, let's take the example of the vaccine itself. If the vaccine is not going to be released to the market, due to whatever may be the reason, the supply chain is hit very badly and people are put into it. And more so in the engineering context also. If the supply chain hits very badly, your entire financial, technical, and the schedule will be hit very badly. Let us see what it is going to happen with respect to this supply chain. COVID-19 has profound economic consequences. The most of the vendors and subcontractors may not survive. Others may not be able to fulfill contractual obligations immediately. Overseas suppliers may be especially prone to delays. For many E&C companies, it's an extraordinary challenge to obtain visibility and manage the supply chains at site level. On evaluation of each situation, the option of considering the legal and financial implication, as well as their impact on margins, cash flow, loan repayment, and terms of contracts can be explored. For critical suppliers whose long-term prospects are sound, the option of contractual flexibility may be considered. Continuation note, civil engineer with a vision and having an excellent vendor relation and organizing the supply of required materials with long-term credits can survive. What is the punchline? Visionaries with outstanding client relations can overcome the issues. Civil engineers need to be good team members. If you are outstanding negotiator, if your communication skill is excellent, if you are a tech savvy, I'm 100% sure you will bargain, negotiate, and manage the present crisis in a much better way. Means it's not only the technical, it should be multi-dimensional skill set. As the CMD of KOCL put it across, the center of excellence is in a true sense, if every engineer goes through this kind of a process with multi-skill development, I'm sure they will be always in the demand. More so, the pandemic is not going to hit them very harshly. Let us look into the next aspects of it. Large number of engineering and construction companies are facing financial shock with an especially significant impact on their cash flow. In the short term, they should conduct an extensive project by project forecast and plan for financial support. It applies to the individual engineers. It applies to the medical corps. It applies to the all discipline. It has nothing to do only on engineering segment. A household, how you will manage your financial monthly expenses, definitely this is applicable. The management revisit what are all the things they should do in the civil engineering aspect, contractual terms, recoverability of receivables, inevitable inefficiencies created by remote working and on-site distancing restrictions. As we work through this crisis, aim to build resources for the future too. If one can come through this period with a robust balance sheet, he will be well placed to gain market share because he can bid for future works from a position of strength. So please understand, this is what it is going to happen. Financial management, technical management, managing the people around him. These are all the challenges that is going to be done across over here. Let's look at it. Further, such organizations will be able to attract and retain the best talent and reposition their businesses through. To develop and execute a financial strategy that will help company and make sure that finance team has information and forecasts that are as accurate as possible, supported by top-notch analytics. Means crisis management with vision is the need of the hour. Civil engineer should develop this. And I'm sure I can quote hundreds of projects where a technical snag, non-availability of material, financial crisis, then natural disaster occurring across over there. All these things is never foreseen. How do the crisis is going to be handled? So the crisis management is going to be the need of the hour, which every civil engineer should develop this kind of a skill. Move on from here. The team leader. Civil engineers and companies that emerge from this crisis with what? A solid finance, a resilient supply chain, skilled workers, and capacity to gather and analyze the data that decision makers need will be well placed to provide and seize new opportunities. Those organizations will be the market leaders no matter how the post-COVID world evolves. Means that's a leadership quality. What is the punchline we look at it? Leadership is an action, not a position. It is not a position because X is a son of so-and-so. Y is a grandson of so-and-so. It is not going to work in engineering fraternity. If you are a leader, means the position is by virtue of action you are going to be seen across, not by virtue of any other name. Cannon to the left, cannon to the right, cannon in front, but the leader will march ahead for his success by virtue of his conviction and better planning, and also for having learned from the past mistakes. A true leader will be a patriotic soldier. He is not bothered about what is going to happen to his life. He has not looked at who are the enemies over there. For him, success is the only point that he is going to hit across over there. Means safeguarding the country's boundary limit. That's what the soldier is going to look at it. For us here is, how do we safeguard ourselves from this pandemic? How do we safeguard our kith and kin and the family? How do we safeguard our entire organization? How do we safeguard our state? And then finally, how do we safeguard the entire world? You see, you are moving step by step ahead. This is where the true leadership comes. Means leadership is an action, not a position. It is not a slogan that you are going to put it across. What action you initiated? That's very important. I'm sure as civil engineers, you act in the crisis, definitely you will come successful. We learn out of mistakes. That's the point to be noted. Move on from here. The COVID-19 pandemic looks set to change the way of many of us work for good, but civil engineering is also affords the opportunity to fully the concluding remarks with respect to the engineering companies and with respect to the students I have distributed. How do we look at this? Civil engineers, practicing civil engineers and the engineering companies embrace implementing digital software into working practices, optimize remote working where possible, project management by armchair method. This is one of the greatest technology that is available. I'm sure in the coming days, every university, every engineering department is going to talk about introducing this as a curriculum. Please note, project management by armchair method. This is one of the greatest technological innovation today that is available, even to monitor up to the micro level remote working challenging sites. Plan and develop future cities and townships as self-sufficient in terms of all needs, such as healthcare, school, workplace, place of worship, market, etc. Look at it today. What is happening? People in Bangalore who are staying in Rajajinagar or the western part will move to the eastern part, that is to the Whitefield, to work. What's happening? He is carrying along with him the COVID pandemic. Had it been an integrated area where workplace, school, hospitals, everything is provided, I'll tell you the 22nd, 23rd, and the 24th next centuries, that whatever you are going to see in the next 3 to 4 years, most of the townships definitely is going to be redesigned considering the lessons now that is learned out of the COVID pandemic. We are already working on state-of-the-art, one of the integrated township in a 5,000 acres area where these kinds of challenges will overcome over that, where people need not have to worry about the pandemic. How do you address these things? Very micro level and minute level planning is being considered. Civil engineers with a digital skill will be on a big demand. Mark my word, those days are gone. Wherein, okay, I continue to record the entire thing, the drawing I'm going to make it as a manually, it takes time. No, sir. You have to upgrade your skill and look for these kinds of technological advancement. Now come to the most important, when I look from Dayananda Sagar College University, from the civil engineers who are aspiring to become qualified civil engineers, what needs to be done? Please look into this. Civil engineering is learned with practical experience and examples. The present pandemic is affecting the colleges and also the students and becoming a major challenge in implementing the knowledge to the aspiring engineers. The following can be considered as a part of the teaching methods. Build the confidence in the student that even this will pass through. I tell you, there is a King Solomon who asked in one of the most wisest minister, what is the greatest thing one has to realize in the life? The most difficult thing, even that will pass through. It's a question of time. So please believe in this. Even this COVID pandemic will pass through. We will hit the market back with a much more vigor. It is going to happen. Please note this point. Ensure more of practical examples are included, be it about investigation, planning, data collection, design, QA and QC, etc. Students should get a good knowledge about the purpose of data collection, accuracy, QA and QC, including how such data will be used in engineering projects. Please make a note of this. Next, select a pilot project like highway, road, building, water supply, treatment, whether it is fresh water or a sewage, airport, ports, and irrigation, and ensure the entire life cycle is exploited. If the student can understand even a single project, it will be good enough. Means, as the CMD of KOCL put it across, industry and academic starts interacting, I'm sure this kind of practical orientation can definitely benefit the upcoming civil engineers. Use of computer application for the processing of data, planning, design should be a must, considering the concept of the work from home. This is a new requirement. The industry expects this to happen. And I will be insisting in most of the cases, this kind of technological growth is a must. I'm sure Dayananda Sagar College faculty definitely will be looking even from this. Concept of armchair project review, project monitoring shall be introduced. This should be done on a pilot basis, and people should get the first this technology, how this is beneficial, in what way this is going to minimize the impact of such pandemic, and without affecting the financial and the schedule, still the project can be put back on track. Students should get exposed for practical training in live projects. See what best could be done on this. And for virtual technical seminars on topics related to their curriculum, that will be more appropriate. Presentation shall be included with regard to their projects assigned. Last but not the least, ensure civil engineering students will not miss anything as a part of the learning in spite of the COVID pandemic within the curriculum. Punch point. Please don't worry about the present pandemic and its impact, as even this will pass through. Have a safe and a great time ahead. Thank you so much once again to the entire faculty and the organizers and the rest of the speakers. I wish them a safe time ahead from the COVID pandemic. Thank you once again for giving this opportunity. And I once again sincerely thank the head of the department, Civil Engineering Department, the Anand Sagar College, and the rest of his colleagues for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. Please take care.
Thank you a lot, sir. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. As usual, it was very, very interesting. We wish like we would like to have here in person. So situation should favor to carry out that. Hopefully, shortly we will be able to do that too. So thank you so much, sir. As you suggested, students should embrace the new technology in the right way, not in the wrong way, in the right way. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care. I have to kindly excuse me. Probably I may not be able to connect with the rest of this one. I have to leave for another presentation. So thank you, sir. I'll catch you up at the earliest. Take care.
Thank you.
Wish
We
you all the
upload
best.
this to video. We upload this to video.
Oh, thank you, sir.
One
Thank
minute,
you,
I think along with me, your teacher and Dr. Jairam Reddy is here. You take
Oh,
the
really?
you, please.
Sir, namaskara. So nice. How the sir? Oh, so nice, sir. So nice.
Thank you very much. Okay.
2013, I had delivered a lecture under you, under your chairmanship, sir. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Today's next speaker is Dr. T. Anantaramaya. Sir completed his MBBS from Bangalore Medical College and postgraduate anesthesiology from Mysore Medical College. He had been a faculty in the Department of Anesthesiology and Critical Care in MS Ramaya Medical College for a few years. He has worked as consultant anesthetist at various hospitals in Bangalore. Now he is a medical director, anesthetist, and intensivist at Isha Multi-Speciality Hospital, which is situated in Hebbal, Bangalore. And the sir is the recipient of Nada Prabhu Kempegowda Award in 2018 for his contributions in medical field. And he has conducted state and national level conferences, and he has been an active member in Indian Society of Anesthesiology. Sir is also a life member of Indian Medical Association. Sir, we welcome you to deliver today's address, and all the faculty, students, and all the participants are very keen because you're from a different field and we'll get to know so many new things, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, Dr. Anantaramaya, please. I think they are agreed. Okay, sir. Okay, please stop. dear participants, I think sir is facing with some audio problem. Anyway, shortly is going to log in. Just wait for some time. We have shared the screen. Sir, we have shared the screen. I think you will speak. Hello. Sir, you can please. Sir, Anantramaya sir, is it okay or? Madam, I think I request Neetu madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
CD is there that we let us display that one.
Sir, sorry.
A small this thing is that we can easily try during this time. Yeah, during the time. Yeah.
So your voice is breaking, sir.
Oh, sir is facing problem.
Okay.
So what I'm requesting you is, I think now Aditya Vasishtha has sent some CD.
Fine, sir. Fine. Yes,
let us
yes.
play that one. That will be better. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is a video recording that we can play. I request Dr. Shiv Kumar.
Aditya Vasishtha here.
Very good morning to one and all. My name is Aditya Vasishtha and I am studying in 10th grade in Northern School. Today, I am going to speak about the role of engineers in combating COVID-19. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Engineers Day. The COVID-19 pandemic poses an unprecedented global challenge impacting Very good morning to one and all. My name is Aditya Vasishtha and I am studying in 10th grade in Northern School. Today, I am going to speak about the role of engineers in combating COVID-19. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Engineers Day. The COVID-19 pandemic poses an unprecedented global challenge impacting profoundly on health and well-being, daily life and the economy around the world. While the immediate effects are seen in terms of the humanitarian crisis and the threat to the ability of the healthcare system to function, the social, political, and economical effects of this virus are also profound. Engineering has a huge role to play in both the short term and in the immediate future. Medical professionals are on the front line in the fight against COVID-19 as they care for patients and work to create new vaccines. Meanwhile, engineers are working in the shadows, being the unsung heroes. The genetic structure of the virus was sequenced within weeks of its discovery, and it was done with the help of both scientists and engineers. Optical, electrical, chemical, mechanical, and computer engineering were all part of this. Another area where engineers are playing a vital role are in the scale-up of therapeutics. Engineers are also working on maintaining the integrity of the supply chain, getting equipment such as masks, sanitizers to where they are needed, and getting the right chemicals together to make vaccines and therapeutics, and these come from all around the world. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are also used to facilitate the rapid development of therapeutics and vaccines. artificial intelligence processes a lot of information to identify promising routes therapeutic interventions. Engineering has also allowed telework, broadband, wireless communication, 5G, Zoom, and other platforms. All of these have been possible by the engineers. As a final example, engineers are modeling the transport of aerosol droplets as it relates to the transmission of coronavirus between two individuals and a group, so that effective countermeasures such as enhanced ventilation can be taken. Engineers would be nowhere without science, and science would be nowhere without engineering, because engineers put into motion what science has discovered. Lastly, scientists discover the world that exists and engineers create the world that never was. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aditya S. Vasishta. You have rightly put across the contribution of engineers during the pandemic. We wish you all the best for your future. Sir, can we start the presentation by Dr. Anant Ramaya, sir?
He is trying to log in. Just wait for a second.
Yes, yes, sir. Presentation can be.
Network problem. Just checking. Is it okay, sir? Okay.
Pachu color. Mama. Pachu color.
Sir is having some technical issue in logging in. It will be sorted out shortly. Abhishek Prabhu, kindly mute.
One more. Yeah, I'm ready. Can you hear me? Hello.
Okay, sir, we will come.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Now we request Dr. Anant Ramaya to deliver his technical task.
Morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Good
Yes,
morning.
sir.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. So, sorry for some disconnection issues. So it gives me immense pleasure on this auspicious day, that is 164th birthday anniversary of Bharat Ratna Sir M. Visvesvaraya. I thank Department of Civil Engineering and Principal and Professor H.K. Nagaraju, Professor Ramraju for giving me an opportunity to speak on this auspicious day. Hello.
Sir, you can speak. No problem.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem at all. Sir, you can speak. Dr. Matadi, please. No issue, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. So today, without wasting much of my time, today I'll be talking on COVID-19 infection and the role of doctors and engineers in combating this particular dreaded infection.
So COVID-19 is a disease. It is a caused by a virus called adenovirus, and it is a novel coronavirus because it is a newly detected virus. First detected is originated from Wuhan province of China in December 2019. So, and we don't know whether it is a natural virus or leak from Wuhan laboratory of China. So from December 2019, it has caused, and this disease, this virus has spread into the entire world. First from Italy to Germany, and then to USA and to the rest of the world. To speak about coronavirus, since it's a pandemic, that means that the virus has spread all over the world. So when it is involving more countries, we call it as pandemic. So this particular disease is described as an under epidemiology, like agent, host, and environment. You can see it is a ring-shaped virus, and it belongs to mRNA virus from adenovirus group, and it has protein spikes over the surface. These protein spikes are the ones responsible for this virulence of the organism. So this is about the virus, and this virus resembles the crown of London, where her crown looks similar shape, and there are spikes over the surface. Now coming to the host, see, naturally these viruses are seen in the bats, in the forest and the wild bats. When it enters into the human, so human will get into the disease. So from animal to the human, the virus was transmitted in Wuhan province. From there onwards, from human to human, it is transmitted through the droplet infections. So here the next factor in the triad is environment. So in the environment, when the infected people cough or sneeze, so in a crowded place, so the virus is going to spread through the droplets. And when it reaches can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Continue, sir. Continue, sir. Sir, I think there is some small network issue. If you can switch off your camera, it will speed up, sir.
Oh, okay.
Only
So
camera.
then, yeah. So from person to person, so it is going to spread through the nose and through the mouth, and it reaches the lungs through the airway. So coming to the next slide, once the virus reaches the human body, there will be a period called incubation period, which will last for 3 to 5 days. During this phase, the virus will start multiplying in the body, called viral replication. So after 3 to 5 days of replication in the body, so the person or the infected person will develop symptoms. So common symptoms are cough, a cold, fever, and a sneezing, a body ache, generalized weakness. In some patients, They develop loss of smell, loss of taste, and vomiting and loose motions. So these are the common symptoms one is going to get once the virus is inside the body. So during this phase, patient 95% of them will recover with symptomatic treatments like paracetamol, cough syrup, and B complex, and some antiviral drugs like favipiravir, fluvi, and remdesivir injections. So in patients with good immunity, so 95% will recover without getting into serious problems. So in 5% of the patients where their immunity is very low, like in unvaccinated people, people with diabetes mellitus, people with heart disease, people with pre-existing lung diseases, people with cancer patients, and patients on immunosuppressive treatment. In these kind of patients or people, so the disease will continue after 5 days. Symptoms, the person of severe breathlessness, they may be severe headache and body ache and persistent high fever, and in severe cases, there will fall in oxygen saturation. So in this stage, the patients, they require hospitalization. So hospitalization means we have a COVID care centers where the patient only require oxygen treatment. There will be 100 patients can be accommodated. There will be a doctor and a supporting staff. These patients can be treated at COVID care centers. In severe cases where there is a fall in oxygen saturation, difficulty in breathing, these patients should be treated in a tertiary care hospital where there is ICU facility. So once they reaches the hospital tertiary care center, so patient will be treated with oxygen, called oxygen therapy, by face mask or by using high flow nasal oxygen devices. In some patients, they may require ventilatory support. So ventilatory support, again, it can be a non-invasive and invasive ventilator. Most of the time, the non-invasive is advisable because not that good. Next step is the pharmacotherapy in ICU center. So people, we administer them antiviral drug called remdesivir and steroids and blood thinning agents like heparin, low molecular weight heparin, and we give other supportive treatment for hearts, lungs, and kidneys and brain to function. So during this stage, so patient may require hyperbaric oxygen therapy, like patients are put into hyperbaric chambers where the lungs are held in with negative inspiratory, negative pressure. So in the First World War, in the first pandemic, hyperbaric oxygen cylinders were used extensively. Because nowadays we have ECMO, that is extracorporeal membrane oxygenator. Because in COVID infection, the lung will become solid. The main pathology is there is a formation of the thrombus in the capillaries, small arterioles. So there won't be any gas exchange taking place in the lung. So that's why we see fall in oxygen saturation in patients affected with COVID. So some patients will have called happy hypoxia. It is called the patient will have low oxygen saturation, but still they will be awake. The reason is the brain blood flow is restored in COVID patients in early stage, because carbon dioxide levels in the blood is maintained to some extent in the early stage of the disease. That's why even though saturation of 60, 70, patient will be awake. So called happy hypoxia. So with all these measures, sometimes patients will recover. In some percentage of patients, like 1 to 2%, the patient will not recover from this pneumonia or our lung consolidation. In such patients, we have to go for lung transplant. So if the donor is available, if the everything is matching, so and it is quite expensive, it's done in a limited setup where there is like Apollo hospitals in Chennai and a few other hospitals. So it's quite expensive. So lung transplant can be done, and further treatment and further care of the transplanted lung is all very expensive. So this is about management of the COVID affected patients. Then coming to the prevention, how to prevent this dreaded disease. So this is very important aspect of COVID management, because prevention is better than cure. And as I said, since it is a pandemic, so here prevention, we should give more importance for prevention. So some certain aspects we have to take into consideration, like SMS, like S stands for social distancing. So we need to keep up a distance of 2 meters, or at least 6 feet from person to person. We should avoid social gathering and wedding functions, going to cinema halls, so that the virus transmission can be prevented. Next step is wearing mask. Wearing mask is very compulsory. Of course, we have all been doing it since March 2020, and we have 3 different types of masks: 3-ply surgical mask, an N95 mask, and other cotton mask. So we should all be knowing how to wear this mask. Once the mask, we should cover up both the nostrils, that is nose, and the mouth, so that no virus can enter into our airway, that is nasopharynx and oropharynx. So wearing of mask is very important, and also disposal. You should use the mask, fresh mask every day, dispose it very next day with hypochlorite sodium hypochlorite solutions, and you should transport it to nearby hospitals or BBMP centers where they dispose it properly. Then coming to the cotton mask can be, you can wear every day. By morning till evening, you should wash it thoroughly and keep it for dry. You can start using next day. So then the next step is sanitation. So is sanitizers commercially available? We can use regular soap, detergent soap, and we can use alcohol-based sanitizers, fluorohexene-based sanitizers. We should wash our hands frequently for minimum 20 seconds. And then we should also wash our exposed parts like parts like face, forehead, and any other exposed parts with detergent and sanitizers. By doing this way, we can prevent the virus getting into the body. Next, we can use face shields, and if you are a healthcare worker, you can use PPE kits, so that all these devices will help us in preventing virus getting into our body. So these are all the physical measures of preventing virus getting into the body. So the next step is how to improve further on. The other aspects is slide number 6 is nutrition. Nutrition plays an important role in preventing and managing and coming out of this kind of immunosuppressive and viral diseases. So one should eat healthy diet, which includes fruits, vegetables, and we should avoid oily stuff, and good quantity, good quantity of carbohydrates and proteins and fats. So by taking a balanced diet, our immunity will improve. So once we have better immunity, we can combat this kind of viral infections. So this is about nutrition. And coming to the exercise, by doing regular exercise, our body, the blood circulation will be good to the entire organs, so that the essential hormones are produced in optimum level, like catecholamines, like steroids, and adrenals, and thyroid and pituitary glands secrete these hormones at optimal level, so that the antigen antibodies, the IgG and IgM immunoglobulins are secreted at optimal level, so that the virus, we can defend the virus. So next come to the yoga. By doing yoga, so Some of the yoga asanas like Surya Namaskar, which helps which is a combination of different asanas. So, like it is a mixture of many asanas. So it gives a physical exercise and also mental concentration. So next we come to the pranayam. So pranayam is nothing but a breathing exercise in a methodical manner, inhalation and exhalation, so that the lung will be expanded and so that there will be recruitment of alveoli. All the alveoli, what we call as the alveoli one where gas exchange takes place. Whatever the oxygen we inhale, they will be diffused through the alveoli into the bloodstream. So the alveoli will be expanded by taking deep breaths. So inhalation and exhalation and increasing the lung capacities and volume so that there will be better oxygenation. So by doing yoga, exercise, by eating good nutrition, and by taking care of all these preventive measures, we can prevent virus getting into our body. So coming to the next step is vaccines. Of course, only treatment for antidote for COVID virus is vaccines. So vaccines, we give once we inject vaccines, like available vaccines, we have Covishield, Covaxin, and mRNA vaccines. Covishield is a live attenuated vaccine, and once it is injected, it stimulates a reaction in the body like natural coronavirus getting into the body. There will be an antigen antibody reactions, and there will be productions of IgM and IgG antibodies, which has these memory cells. So subsequently, this once vaccine is injected, the person will develop antibodies against coronavirus for a period of 4 to 6 weeks. So again, when there is a coronavirus infection, these antibodies will detect these coronavirus and will destroy them. So destroy means they will prevent multiplication of this coronavirus inside the body. So vaccine is very important. By taking vaccine, we can only protect ourselves from getting infection, and we cannot prevent the virus getting into the body unless we follow barrier methods, what I already said. So as of now, we have vaccinated nearly 76 crores with the first dose of Covishield vaccine. We are the first in the world, and we have to thank our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji for all his effort and leadership in combating this COVID-19 infection. And we are the largest exporters of vaccines, Covishield. So of course, now we are giving vaccines from the age group of 18 and above. Now in the coming days, we are going to give vaccines for the age group of 12 to 18 with Covaxin, and we are going to have the nasal drops. The vaccines are coming as nasal drops, which can also be given for infants and children below 3 years or younger children. So by doing this, our aim is to control corona by infection by December 31st. Our Prime Minister is determined to eradicate corona from India from December 2021 onwards. So by doing all these things, we can, one is vaccination, maintaining the barrier measures and nutrition, we can certainly protect ourselves from corona infection. And coming to the role of engineers in combating corona infection, our engineers' role are very much appreciated, and without them, we wouldn't have had masks, PPE kits, face shields, gloves, etc. And we have, because of their knowledge and precision decisions, and we have sophisticated ventilators, video laryngoscopes, bronchoscopes, and so many other electronic devices, monitors. Because of their contribution and effort, we could successfully combat corona infection. Now, and also the engineers have given us the testing kits, which is very important because it is a new virus. We didn't know how to detect the virus. these biomedical engineers, they have developed testing kits where we can do the genomic sequence of virus. We can also find out what kind of virus, what kind of mutation, where which part of the chromosome genome it has mutated. We can even number them. So thanks to the technological advance from engineering division. So, and their support to the mankind and medical specialty. Of course, they have developed oxygen concentrators and so many other devices. So, and they have donated from all over the world, our friends, NGOs and engineers, they have donated a lot of oxygen concentrators, ventilators. So thanks to all these people who have helped in during this pandemic. Coming to the role of doctors, so many doctors, millions of doctors have died across the world, and even nursing staff and supporting staff, they have died. They sacrificed their lives because there is no other go other than treating the patients. We cannot differentiate whether it's a corona infection or any other disease. When the patient comes to us, it is our bounden duty, it is our Hippocratic oath. We have to treat them with precautions. We have to take like wearing PPE kits, face mask, face shield. So it is our bounden duty. We all have done to our best of our ability, and all our community has served well so that we could successfully counter the first wave which had come in March 2020. So we lost many doctors community during how it spreads, what is the pathophysiology. It was a new virus. So many people got infected and died. Of course, in second wave, in the April 2021, not many casualties found because most of the healthcare workers were vaccinated. Many of us have taken the first dose, which protected us from contracting the dreaded virus. So Corona has taught us what the life is all about, and it has resulted in loss of economy, the loss of mankind. As our previous speaker has pointed out, the supply chain mechanism has lost. The business is down. The economy is down. So this pandemic has resulted in a lot of problems and created havoc, created lots of health, the mankind, and resulted in a lot of psychological problems. So with this kind of words, I thank all the organizers and thank the Professor Ramraju and Department of Civil Engineering, Dayanand College, for giving me an opportunity to present my views and talk about the coronavirus infection. So I thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir.
I thank Dr. Amantaramaya for a beautiful talk, a technical talk, but what I can tell. Because I know, as I know personally, he's a busy man. Of course, keeping his words aside, he may himself free and deliver the talk. Sir, I thank you a lot for the
Yes, sir.
But thank you a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We all salute you, doctors, and all the other frontline workers for your immense service during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much for your words, sir.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move on to the next speaker for today. That is Mr. Nagesh Putswamy. He is the zonal head white topping and the RMDT Ultratech Cement Limited, Bangalore. So RMDT is Rapid Monolithic Disaster Proof Technology. And sir was born on 2nd October 1962, and he completed his BE Civil Engineering from University of Mysore. And he is working in Ultratech Limited since 2006. But before 2006, he worked as consultant, heading a sole proprietary firm, Nagesh Consultants. And sir has about 35 years of experience in the field of civil engineering. And he was a consultant for companies like Karuturi Networks, Floriculture Division, MRF Ties, BPCL, and many other companies. Next, sir has received many awards and honors. So he was a consultant for St. Mary Church, Navanagar, Bagalkot, which was awarded ICI Karnataka Hubli Dharwad Center, Ultratech Outstanding Concrete Structure Institutional Building Section, for the year 2007 and 8. And he was awarded as Outstanding Engineer for the contribution in concrete roads and monolithic building technology by the Institution of Engineers, Mysore Center. Sir is, he has got a membership in many professional bodies, and he's very actively working in all of them. And some of the professional achievements include in charge of training and mentoring of personnel for the white topping pilot project at Kharagpur, West Bengal, along with IIT Kharagpur. Sir has published many papers in national and international journals, and Sir has been industry guide for many BE, MTech and PhD students, Sir has been training engineers from various organizations and students at engineering colleges, and he has a very unique passion, that is photography, which includes wildlife photography, especially crocodiles. So all the people who are who all know him personally, like me, he's known as Con Croc Nagesh, because concrete and crocodile are his biggest passion. So he's studying crocodiles for over 40 years, including identifying them by their spike features. Sir is wishing to publish a coffee table book from his wildlife and nature photography. So I wholeheartedly welcome you for today's Engineers Day, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. I hope I have the sharing of my screen. Yeah, it is there. Well, I would like to wish each one of you to on the occasion of Engineers Day. I hope Neetu, my screen is visible.
Very much, sir. Very much.
Okay. Let us keep rolling. I have been luckily I have two laptops, one on which I was observing what was going on. As and when the other speakers progressed, I have removed nearly 30 of my slides. Mostly it would be pictures, but what I would like to talk to you about is the engineers' contribution in general, even though we are talking about it seriously with the current pandemic situation, but in general for all disasters that happen to humankind, for all other systems to roll out their service to the society, the engineers will have to switch in first. Until they put things together, none of the things move together. That is what is all about. Engineers have been addressing some of these things for quite some time. 1 minute, some of these things are distracting me. Okay, I'll put them in the right place. Okay, fine. We have been responding to global emergencies over the ages. Well, if you go back, very well documented features are especially when you want to relate it to the current pandemic situation. During the Spanish influenza, or little earlier or few decades earlier to that, the Great Plague that swept the whole of Europe and many parts of Asian countries also, the role of engineering community had been very, very important. How different the engineers of those days were is a little bit, especially the era of bubonic plague. I think not many engineers were available for the civilian society, but however the contribution of the technical industry or the technical fraternity with the qualification of that particular area had done quite a lot. And one thing that we have to appreciate is, whether it is the pandemic, whether it is the emergency situation, the very important thing that suffers is the infrastructure. The infrastructure might be overloaded, might have failed or something like that. We engineers have been responding to emergencies. Number one, the Spanish influenza of 1919. It bothered the world over for more than 10 years or almost 10 years, 1918 to 1919. In fact, after I accepted this invitation, I did study nearly about 30 newspaper articles and several technical papers that were published from the engineering community regarding the preparedness that is required for such pandemic situation. But because it was almost 100-year-old, most of us would have left. And I found, very interestingly, I found that many engineering papers that I read regarding those pandemic situation then is almost similar to what we faced, especially in the second wave of pandemic in India. The way that we had hue and cry, people dying in streets and people gasping for breath. Yes, they might have looked very, very horrifying because thanks to the television news channels that are uncontrolled over a period of time. So these things have happened, but I found that many infrastructural requirement, the way that the infrastructure was uplifted in that pandemic was almost the similar requirement. Probably the level of technology that was required was higher. Definitely as engineers we will say that we were also better equipped as far as the technology behind our engineering community is also was also better equipped. And then hurricane and cyclone have taught us a lot of things. Engineers have been in the forefront. And then earthquakes is similar, but earthquake is more tricky because there are collapsed buildings, there are collapsed infrastructure. You have to look out for every human being who might be alive below the debris. So the way we technically we do the rescue operation, the cutting of the concrete block as precisely as a surgeon cuts through the muscles or cuts through our skin to do an operation. We will have to do like that because one wrong move can collapse the entire building again, and along with the people who are already at risk above, these trained people who are trying to rescue will also be put into risk. So we are equipped, and always the people, the engineering community have been the backbone of putting up the hospital and emergency services in place after any disaster. And very surprisingly, I found that the requirement of engineering community in all these places, whether it is a pandemic, whether it is a disaster, natural disaster, it is there. So the engineering brain, the engineering education, the engineering technology has been answering. But the problem is when a once in a long time emergency comes. See, today when there is a cyclone coming, you know that it is coming. The entire community, the electrical engineers, the communication engineers, the service engineers, the civil engineers, everybody will be ready to jump into work as soon as things get cooled down. But the system is forgetting things that happens very long back, like what happened in this. And very interestingly, when I was reading through these things, I found that all the newspaper articles looked almost the same. And then one important thing that what is in the background of the animation going on. You would be surprised that people revolutionize the application of engineering. That is how they found out that things can change. Many cases what has happened is, it is not just revolutionizing, it is not me thinking, can you imagine that is January 1990, January 24, that is the year of this newspaper there, 2200 cases of flu. About what was the newspaper telling few months back? Same thing. So this is and you can see the hospital of those days, mask wearing of those days, they are all same. And one newspaper clipping that I found was funeral services are banned. Funeral services banned. Is there anything different? No, we have space, but we had solved the issues then. And because it became 100 years, many of the people who experienced that are no longer with us. And the age-old grandpas and grandmas who used to tell storytelling who are also not there. Most of the younger generation have missed sitting on the laps of grandmother and listening to those stories, listening to those experiences, because of which we have taken life for granted. And that is the reason we started reinventing things. But what happens with engineers is, engineers had to deliver things in a way that the textbook did not teach them. Why I am using the word textbook did not teach them? This is hard to move condition, because we engineers solve every problem mathematically. We engineers solve every problem by probability theory. We engineers solve the problems and or authenticate or defend our ideas of solution by a mathematical method. Until that is done, none of our evolutions or what you call the innovations are not accepted by the community. And I would say for the young engineers here, these pandemic situations are the right period for you to try and implement your new innovative ideas, because the procedural questions that would come in the normal process of time is lesser. Because anything, there is an old proverb in most of the Indian languages that for a man who is drowning, even a string of hay in the river seems to be a lifeline. So that is the reason, please think out of the box, and this is what I said, it is very, very important. What you can see here is something that was an eye-catching for nearly about 30 papers and newspaper articles that I read. This was a wonderful thing, and this was a photograph that our engineers had tried and put a 1G mobile phone network in 1918 to support the system. This is the role that we have played earlier, and this is the role that we are playing now. But the problem is, not many of us dare to think beyond the limit and dare to think beyond the codal provisions, dare to think beyond the box. We always fear of failure. That is something that was there, and very important, we have been answering calls for service after every disaster that strikes the humankind. Well, one thing that has happened, especially for regularly occurring disasters, we are learning from the previous mistakes and we are documenting things. We are improving our standards of new things that are coming in, whether it is an engineering product, whether it is any engineering product, from a small equipment to a large huge building, everything we know that we are covered and governed by codal values. We have been changing those codal values, we are incorporating, that is, we are learning our lessons from the previous things. Number one, what did the current situation asked us? Number one, we have been answering the questions, we have been answering the demand for human shelter, hospitals, which are the two essential things that human requires during any disaster. Then to add on to that, as time progressed, modern lifestyle, modern healthcare system needs power supply. So the ability of power engineers has become more and more sensitive, and they have been answering these systems right from creating an alternate way or totally deviating from what was happening 30 years before to the current scenario, where they have found a new way that the things don't damage at all. So that is something that, and then transportation equipment, this was something that evolved during the COVID conditions. Yes, the availability of medical science, the knowledge about the medical science improvement were far well known to the remotest places in the world, because of which everybody wanted modern care. Probably this was not the case during the Spanish influenza of 1919, but today it is there. Everybody knows that oxygen can be given, but not many know that the oxygen production itself was very, very poor. The necessity of what is called as medical oxygen was totally dependent for only a very small group of patients, but the production was in proportion to that. But there was an abundant production line for industrial oxygen. So these things had to be done. Lot of these were interconnected. The entire transportation system got revolutionized thanks to the modern day what you call as the online marketing system, thanks to the various GPS enabled vehicle tracking system that is observed and practiced by many manufacturers to track their goods being transported from factory to the last point. So these technologies were available. Quickly we were able to adopt the same for the oxygen. I think many of you remember even the oxygen tankers that were going from one state to other were hijacked by another state. So these things happened, but it could be taken up. So, but linked to this is roads has to be restored, bridges are to be restored, but this did not become a problem in the current pandemic, because at the peak of these problems all roads were almost empty from not so important users of the road. There was a lockdown, but COVID-19 oxygen became a challenge. Not just availability of oxygen, transportation of oxygen, production of oxygen, all these things we had to answer, and proudly we can say throughout the world we did answer. We did answer that, and really I would tell you the corona took us, the coronavirus or the COVID-19 virus took us the way it moved around on my screen now. Well, what was that thing? Number one, the first wave literally displayed us how short we are regarding hospital beds. We thought once about 10 people in a population of 500 or 600 would get sick. So for 3 villages or 4 villages we had one hospital, and many cases it did not have a bed for people to stay. And the second thing, very important, this pandemic brought in isolation. Then this pandemic required some kind of confined treatment facility. So the engineers had to chip in with alternate way of comfortably keeping these patients, right from temporary structures to modifying an existing school building, the community centers into a hospital facility. All these things were brought in. Don't think that, let us not think that making a community hall as an hospital was an easy task in this situation. Number one, the infrastructure, moving in of those people, and then emergency oxygens to be provided, correspondingly the safety measures to be kept in, the communication line, the electricity line, the alternate power, the water supply, all these things integrated, and all these information about every center going to a war room. Imagine which engineer has not chipped in this situation, right from an IT guy who overall it made the things efficient to a basic level, small time welding specialist who did those emergency beds, emergency cots, emergency cylinder carriers. Can you imagine? That was the thing. And then very important that kept the system running was the construction industry was allowed to run. Yes, we did face a lot of cross flow or what we call as backward migration, reverse migration of labor force from urban centers back to their rural places, and that complicated several things. That's almost history now. Even the children of primary school will tell what all happened. But protection and prevention became very, very important. We know that some of the gadgets which were luxury, like a thermal scanner for temperature and pulse oximeter, all these things became a day-to-day life. They became available in the neighborhood stores. And I was surprised where these temperature readers and pulse oximeters were available in the fellow who used to sell small iron box. He also had these products in his display. That is how. And very important that India realized, especially a country like India realized, was we did not have enough facility to manufacture the safety equipment for our medical professional, leave alone the others. Doctors could not, hospitals, big hospitals were thinking about how much should I pay for a PPE kit. Thanks to the engineering community, all of them put together, the mechanical engineers, the electronic engineers, everybody, the computer science engineers who wrote programs for the CNC machine, almost the big clean production units of garment industry were converted to make PPE kits. And today India is surplus and we are exporting PPE kits to the outside country. That is how holistically. But the very important thing here is no one dared to ask who did this. All of them remained under one brand called engineers, and we all acted together. Then during the second wave of COVID-19, probably the entire community, including the managerial and the political clan of this society, were stressed out. Number one, not just hospital beds, we wanted ICU beds. Yes, there is another problem of ICU staff that I am not going to address as some of the doctors have told about that. But percentage of ICU facility infrastructure in our infrastructure was exorbitantly high in demand. No one even thought, including the medical professionals themselves, ever thought for so many bed hospital, so many beds of ICU is a normal standard. It became multiple folds, and please remember some of these achievements were done even in India. Yes, if we are all in a normal condition, all of us sitting here calling ourselves as engineers would have called this Jugaad technology. Yes, we converted many facilities into an almost oxygen enabled ICU bed. One of that was right here in Wilson Garden. A small office space was converted into 16 bed or 18 bed ICU facility. It was so good because one of my own students was involved in the construction and fabrication of pipeline. He used to send me the pictures and the way the things worked there. I was surprised, and that is how we all worked together. And oxygen, I have been telling you, this was something that we failed to understand over a period of time. We failed to understand that oxygen might be a problem. We spoke, we gave speeches from the platforms regarding deteriorating environmental condition, CO2 footprint, all these things. But what should I do if things go out of control? We had never imagined. COVID taught us a lesson. having medical oxygen facility at every district level is very important. And thanks to the industry, the manufacturing industry consisting of the mechanical engineers, the chemical engineers, the electrical and electronic engineers, who were all involved in manufacturing of the self-automated oxygen plants, they answered the questions. I know, and I have heard, I have read the documents that many of these industries worked to almost 150% of their production capacity, 150% of their production capacity. We were flooded with quite a, but then the problem came that each of these oxygen manufacturers had their own standards, they had their own layout, because these are interconnected different equipment, right from a compressor to a cylinder to a control panel to a all these things are there. So the design of sheds, they could not be moved in as it is because they had to be protected. And then few disasters happened in Delhi and a few places where oxygen leaked, and there was a lot of damage to other things that is there. There are so many things within the hospital facility which does not go well with enriched oxygen, but it is required for the patient, it goes in the pipeline. But these contradictions became a very big problem, and then we realized, and the standards were suddenly looked into, a lot of designs were copied, and a lot of designs were given by various solutions. In fact, I had an opportunity to work with a couple of people and understand these problems, some suggestions, and participate in the discussion, right from foundations to oxygen plants, mini oxygen plants to major oxygen plants. They started, and many of the engineers, I would say many of the engineers did not bother about the intellectual rights of the drawing. It was distributed freely all over the net. It was available for us, and all the manufacturers forgot their patent, forgot their copyrights. They just kept the oxygen plant drawings available on net. It was freely available. I would congratulate all these people because they made the life easy of a person who would not have. There was an engineer who was capable of designing anything, but all of us have not seen an oxygen generation plant. We have not seen an oxygen generation plant. So we have to, when these drawings were available, we were able to solve the issues. So these things moved in. And I have some pictures here very well. I was fortunate enough to suggest instant setting, and because the ready-made grouting material had to be transported, there was a limitation on what to be transported, where to be transported. So with the available things, how are you going to do? So I was involved in suggesting concrete mixes for several people across the country, whoever know me as a concrete man. They had brought me, they had pinged me for a solution. Mix designs were provided. The alternate methods of construction were brought in, and rapidly, as we saw some deficiency in one design, all of us moved from one design to the other design very quickly. And very important was there was an holistic approach. Now what you see here is putting the entire thing on a welded MS system. Thereby we limit the process of foundation excavation and all these things. What is it? Is it something new? No. We all have studied this as a grillage foundation in our steel design, but this was readopted for a different system. So this is how we have to look out for. Well, the next one is the way the oxygen was transported. The way the oxygen was, we all knew about this. A truck mounted oxygen, medical oxygen facility, which would go and fill up oxygen for the required hospital, where there would be a cylinder. But it was very disheartening and very I was feeling, have we become so foolish that we are not predicting the risk of life? Even after the first wave, as the second wave's oxygen demand went up, there were people who were ready to supply oxygen because of the availability of a plant nearby, but many hospitals, many district headquarters did not have a storage facility for oxygen. Simple oxygen storage tanks were not available in district headquarters, and the nearest oxygen plant was less than 1 hour journey. Less than 1 hour journey. But we don't have a tank. I cannot make the transport vehicle to stand for the oxygen supply. So things were like this, and then the Indian Railways chipped in with modifying some of their things. Of course, we started off like this, mounting the truck onto a train which was already there. We were especially somebody who know Konkan Railways very well. There is an efficient system of train carrying trucks and trucks carrying goods. So at the respective stations, the trucks get out and get in. So that was already available, but very quickly the Indian Railways came out with this particular thing in the bottom left. You can observe my cursor moving there. They made containers onto their rails. These had a huge capacity of oxygen and also reduce the risk, and these trucks which were to be stranded on the train for transportation were available for short term commuting, but this one went all over, and these were made detachable. And very important that happened was the Indian Air Force modified their transport vehicles to carry oxygen cylinders. Yes, in the initial days they pulled up the truck itself into the belly of the aircraft, but later on, if you Google all these things, I would say that every one of us who are engineers, we will feel proud that we did answer the questions around that. And then the ventilators, yes, ventilators, many of us believed that it is the last stage of treatment before the person goes off, or to rescue a person. But this became an order of the day and the most important requirement for treatment of COVID-19 patients. And surprisingly, we were nowhere near what was required in those conditions. And let us agree, yes, we did import some of them, but thanks to DRDO, that quickly developed a design of its own and made it available for most of the manufacturers, at least as far as I know, in India, without any patent. They made available, and later on we found that this design was one of the robust designs, competitive enough for anyone that is available in the market. Now it is for us to return back that gratitude towards DRDO and young engineers. Please, at least we cannot think of going and working there in DRDO, so that you would answer all these questions, not just the security of the nations. And what another thing that it was done was, you can see these are the ventilators that were developed by DRDO. Private organizations did not lay back. One such thing that was that is well documented and very well appreciated across the country, across the media, across the professionals, are the one that Mahendra's did. They made an in-house affordable ventilator system, or an alternate to ventilator system. So this was also done. So that means all the engineers chipped in. Who are the engineers here? There was a mechanical engineer, there was an electrical engineer, there was a instrumentation engineer. Everybody were pushing in, everybody was putting in their list. And the best that could happen in a pandemic situation and in an IT enabled world like this was the Arogya Setu app. I don't know I think within 4 weeks, with less than 4 weeks of the lockdown, the first lockdown, this app was made available. Yeah, all innovations do have some hurdles, do have some hitches. It did have, as it progressed towards the 3rd or 4th month, it became a robust system. Yes, if at all it has not become a sensation all over the world, it is because we as Indians failed to appreciate it and we did not provide the data honestly into this app. We did not provide the data honestly into this app. I went around in the market switching off my Bluetooth. So the abilities of this particular app was not efficiently used. If I had moved around, the system as a whole, which is monitored very closely and very efficiently, and in a big country like India, there will be hitches, there will be some crooks who would misbehave. Let us forget them and forgive them, but the system itself is excellent. If all of us had put in data here, this would have been. And I have read somewhere, but I tried to retrieve this information over a period of time, but I could not. I know that this app and this particular app's rights were given free of cost by the government of India to several developing countries with their language, their communication language, so that they also can be benefited out of it. Now, what more do we want? We, the engineers, did something. The key to success was unprecedented situation, pressure of media hype was a unbelievable weight below our legs. Everyone, even ask the doctors, they will say how much of pressure. Every reporter who could be a BA journalism or an MA journalism had become an expert doctor, telling the doctor, are you giving this treatment? That was the situation in Indian condition. So that was a huge pressure we worked on. But what was so green about it is that the entire system, whether it is the engineering community, whether it is the medical community, and very importantly, many district commissioners set an example. They became role models for the society in managing everybody, taking everybody together, not to forget the common man who contributed both in terms of funds, in terms of material, also volunteered along with us to work on that. We all kept our cool, and many of us who were required to think, we even thought out of the box, because of which we delivered the best. We delivered the best. Yes, all these things cannot be done overnight. There was a little bit of suffering as these things moved around in the backdrop of a in between the four walls of a factory or a research center. But loss of life is a loss of life. We have great sympathies and compassion about them. But let us see how things developed. A simple PPE kit, disposable bag, hand sanitizers, shoe covers, which were a part of 5-star hospital shoe covers, today is a part in almost every hospital, many public places. Even in some hotels, when you go out, they do insist us on wearing a shoe cover, disposable shoe cover, and then gloves became, and these were things that were considered luxury. Because it was considered luxury, the production was less, and there was a huge demand. I know for one N95 mask which I used to purchase at 125 rupees when I went to my cement factory or a cement lab, because I am allergic to that, around 125, 130 rupees, I have paid up to 600 rupees a piece. 600 rupees a piece. And then something called as face shield. Most of us know this being used by only the welders. In many cases they also don't use it. And as things progress, there were innovations that were brought in. We can see the cursor there. I also own one of this, and I will tell you it is more comfortable. It has got a filter. You can put the mask material here, 3 layer, 5 layer, 6 layer, whatever you want. It closes your face completely, no fogging of the eyes even if you are wearing a spectacle, and no suppression of voice. In fact, this is far better than the cloth mask that we wear, and it does not allow any air to come inside, and whatever we breathe is breathed out of this filter. So these small things were innovated, and that is what I feel that this current situation has put us engineers to achieve something. And not to forget the medium in which we are conducting this meeting. In earlier days, all the professors who are in this meeting will agree with me, but irrespective of, I know there are few doctors in this meeting, all of us know that to get one expert to speak to our students or to our community or to our colleagues, it used to be a hell lot of tasks. 1, date, 2, transportation, 3, hospitality, 4 was the lecture. This is what the thing. But today, if that person is willing to spend 1 hour of his time, 2 hours of his time, we can hear to the best of the experts from anywhere in the world to any part of the world. I am very, very surprised. In fact, along with the University of Malaysia and one university in Lebanon and an university in India, we had a expert exchange of thoughts for 3 days. We had experts from Malaysia, India and Lebanon speaking on the current situation, how we can answer few things, and this virtual media of communication became order of the day. We all appreciated, and behind this I would say the young brains or the youngest of the engineering community, the IT industry came out with, and the kind of facilities they have given. Imagine the backdrop that you see behind me, my concrete and myself, is not a banner that I have hung behind me, it is a virtual banner. So that is how it is. We have now, what is the way forward? We fought the battle, point, avoided or provided the solution for the current situation, but we have to keep the learning, make the future product efficient and affordable. That is how the engineering community has grown. Let us not forget. I am telling you this only because of one reason, that many of the younger generation have not faced a major disaster. They have not faced. So in general they have not faced. That is how we have to look out for. Thank you, and wonderful time spent with you all. Warm greetings again for the Engineers Day. Back to the host, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the abundance of information and making us feel proud that we are engineers. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Nagesh Puttaswamy, sir.
Sir, I am not a doctor. I am only Nagesh Puttaswamy, sir.
But you have rich experience, more than a doctor.
That is so kind of you, but I would say PhDs are earned, sir. I cannot simply take it.
Not like that. The vast experiences and exposure, definitely that counts, which reflected in your presentation. We thank you a lot for agreeing and presenting the paper. So please, thank you a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thanks again. Nagesh sir had one more meeting. In spite of that, he has made time to share his knowledge with all of us. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next, I think we had a very good speaker again, that is Dr. Renuka Devi, who is a gynecologist. I came to know that ma'am has a very emergency, like she has an emergency to attend. Her patient is in labor, so Unfortunately, we are not able to hear to her right now, but she has conveyed her best wishes and she has informed that some other day when she is free, definitely she'll address our students and speak about this topic. Right, sir? HOD, sir? I'm right? Am I right?
You can proceed.
Yes, sir. So now time has come to conclude today's session. So now I request Engineer R.P. Malik Aradhya. Sir he's a retired Chief Engineer, Urban Water Board, and right now sir is Chairman of Indian IPHE, that is Indian Public Health Engineering. Sir, please, can you please propose a vote of thanks for today's webinar?
Sir, you need to unmute.
Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity. This 164th birth anniversary of Sir M. Visheshwaraya, we are celebrating as an Engineers Day today. This program is jointly organized by Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering and Institutions, Indian Water Works Association. And the topic today, we had a long discussion of almost 2.5 hours, is role of doctors and engineers in combating COVID-19. It's a real scenario because doctors and engineers have come together, including politicians, managers, everybody in one role to take care of the general health and life and safety of the citizens of the entire world. Today, my job is to give vote of thanks, Vandanarpani. First of all, my thanks to the Dayananda Sagar College of Institutions for providing us this opportunity along with Indian Water Works Association to conduct this program. So the inaugural address was done by Sri Saminathan, Chairman, Managing Director, Kudaraimukh Iron Ores Company Limited, a Government of India concern, as a chief guest. So his address was though very brief but very innovative and guiding us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sparing your time for this occasion. Next is the address by the chief guest, Sri Srinivasa Reddy, Chairman, Indian Water Works Association. Thank you, sir, for introducing as well as giving your chief guest address regarding COVID, the pandemic, and the part and parcel activity done by both doctors and engineers together. Thank you very much, sir. The presidential address was given by Engineer CPS Prakash, the principal, Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering. Sir, as an individual and as an IWA member and IPHE chairman, we are very much grateful for you to providing us so much opportunity, at least thrice or 4 times every year, for conducting our engineering seminars. Thank you very much, sir, for your address. Next is the keynote address given by Engineer Ranganath, CMD EI Technology. He gave a very good speech on leadership. It was very exhaustive, and he gave a very good talk on engineers and COVID, how engineers participated in taking care of controlling the COVID pandemic. Thank you very much, Ranganath sir. Next keynote address is given by Dr. Anant Ramaya, anesthetist, Isha Multi-Speciality Hospital, Bangalore. He has given a very good presentation, PPT, and gave us re-exposure on coronavirus, how to prevent, how to manage, how to recuperate, as well as the latest technology and gadgets available for treatment and taking care of COVID patients during their illness as well as after their illness. Thank you very much, Dr. Ananta Ramaya. Thank you very much. Next is Engineer Nagesh Puttaswamy, Zonal Head, Ultratech Cements, Bangalore. Sir, you have given a very, very good, time-consuming, but very informative insight to all the things which happened during pandemic, how people participated in every part and parcel of their life. Thank you very much for your time and your valuable inputs. Thank you very much. Next is my sincere Vandanarpane to Dr. Ramaraju for arranging this, and all the staff and coordinators, and Ms. Neetu Aras for coordinating it very well. Thanks once and again to all the participants who have participated. More than 270 participants were there online. Thank you very much. And thanks Mr. Ramaraju again for giving me an opportunity to give a Vandanarpane. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Ramaraju.
Okay. Thank you one and all for the kind cooperation in conducting this webinar.
Thank you, sir. We have one important information. There is a link being shared in the chat box. Students are requested to fill. Everyone can fill the form. They'll be receiving the certificate. For students, filling the USN is mandatory. So you need to fill the USN. So after filling it, yes, sir. So after filling it, they'll be receiving the certificate. So we have come to the end of one wonderful session, one memorable session. So thank you everyone for making it a very grand success. Thank you all.
Especially the speakers, Nagesh sir and Malik sir. Thank you all, and other speakers, Ranganath sir and Dr. Anantramaya. All the speakers, they deliver the very technically covering all the matters. Thank you a lot for your talks, sir. And I thank one and all for the kind cooperation, all our coordinators, Dr. Neetu Aras, and the program coordinators, physically for this program, Professor Manohar and Professor Sudeep. They took a lot of initiative with the support of our Professor Chetan and Dr. Shivkumar and all the professors, even Professor Vinay, and our senior most Professor Dr. Jairam Reddy actually came to the department, and he was with me almost from the morning 10 to till the program is ending up. He is with us only. I thank him, and I thank one and all for the participating in the program. You are all the students. I think you might have, you definitely will be benefited from this workshop. I hope that this will throw a light in the how exactly we have to move forward in tackling the COVID-19 and all. Anyway, the colleges are going to reopen from October onwards. All are welcome to join, and let us start with the routine works by following all the COVID guidelines and by following the instructions given by the government authorities. Okay. Thank you one and all.
Sir, one last word of thanks I forgot.
Yeah.
That is to that 10th standard student,
Yes.
Aditya Vasista, who gave us a very good 2.5 minutes speech on, I think he has used almost all the words which are very, very relevant during this pandemic time, engineering as medical, both sectors. Thank you very much, Aditya, wherever you are. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Over
you,
to
sir.
Madam.
Thank you all. Stay safe. Thank you very much. A very happy Engineers Day again. So after filling the form, you all can exit, students.